Hey everyone, this is chapter 11, Digestion and Nutrition, which is a very interesting and important chapter. So we'll be looking at the digestive tract. It starts in your mouth and ends in your rear end. And it's a long tube to extract nutrients out of your food. That's the purpose of it. And then those nutrients go to your body cells, first to your liver, then to your body cells. It's also called the GI tract or gastrointestinal tract, and it's lined with epithelium. We learned about tissues earlier, so like really thin tissue. And then it protects the tissue with thick, moist mucus. So here's the whole digestive system, starting from the mouth and the teeth and going all the way down to the anus. And all of these are considered organs as you go down. Even the mouth is an organ. This is showing a cross section of one of those tubes. This is maybe like I don't know if this is showing the esophagus. Let me see. Or just like any tube. So maybe like the small intestine. There's a ton of layers. There's muscles going in different directions, smooth muscle. So that's this layer here, this circular muscle. The inside space is called the lumen. That's where like the food goes. And then you have the mucosa layer that makes mucus. And then the layer under it is the submucosa. You've got nerves so that you can sense if something's wrong, and then blood vessels are fueling it. And then you can see here the muscles running the opposite direction of the circular muscle. So it's pretty complicated. Here's the different layers that I just mentioned. And then you also have sphincters, which help to push some of the food down. So one example is the sphincters in your esophagus, and they help push the food down into the stomach so it doesn't come back up. But if your sphincter is faulty, it's going to come back up. So let's see, here's a sphincter going from your esophagus into your stomach, and it's just muscles and it squeezes together to keep the food from going back up. If you eat too much, sometimes you get a little reflux, or if it's something spicy. So your digestive system starts, or it has different types of ways that it breaks food down. So these are the functions. We have the mechanical processing of the food, so breaking it up into smaller pieces so that you have more surface area. And then secretion is when you squirt out digestive enzymes like pepsin or trypsin or amylase to break down some of the chemicals, the nutrients. Oh my goodness. And then digestion is when that's actually, that term means the food is actually broken down into nutrients. And then we also have absorption. That's where all those nutrients are taken into our blood. And then elimination is when we get rid of them through feces. So for chewing, this is where it all begins. It's good to chew your food up into smaller pieces. One reason is because it's going to digest better and you're going to be able to extract more nutrients because it's broken down into smaller pieces. And so the enzymes will be able to break it down more. And we know the shape of the tooth fits its function. So we have different shaped teeth for ripping or tearing or grinding, or the ones in the premolars in the middle. And then we also have saliva in our mouths. And that helps to moisten the food. It also helps to kind of facilitate the chemical reactions. Plus, we have an enzyme in our mouth called salivary amylase, and that breaks down starch into sugar. And then you also can, you have mucins that make a little bit of mucus, and that helps form it into a ball, and then you swallow it. So the little piece, like think of, you might not have ever thought about this, but think of when you chew up some food and you kind of ball it up and then you swallow it, that's called a bolus. Then it will lead to your, down your esophagus to your stomach. Here's some of your salivary glands in different places. When you swallow, and you might try this, have a cracker or a French fry and really focus on what's happening when you're swallowing. Your food is going to go up into the upper palate, and then your tongue will contract and push that bolus down into the pharynx, which I'll show you a picture of. Some of swallowing is voluntary, some of it's involuntary. As you swallow, your breathing stops. Oh, I'm so sorry. Because you don't want to get food down your trachea so that epiglottis gets plugged over the trachea and it stops you from breathing. And then you have this wave-like motion that your esophagus does. It's kind of like milking a cow. If you've ever milked a cow, you have to like start at the top and push down. And that pushes the food down. So here we go. There's the bolus. It's going into the back of the pharynx. And then it's going to get pushed down into your, and so here up here is your like your nasal cavity. So here's your oral cavity. Your tongue is pushing on it to push it down, pushing on it there. And then it's going to go down your esophagus. Sometimes it, like for me, it's potatoes. If I eat like a French fry and I don't chew it enough, I can feel it going down my esophagus, or like an ice cube if you swallow ice by accident. And then eventually there's a sphincter that's going to keep it from coming back up. Okay, so then onto the stomach. Your stomach adds more enzymes into the mix, and then it helps churn and mix. And if you look at the inside of your stomach tissue, let me see if I have a picture. It has these little rugae, these little like strips of muscle that are really grinding that food up. So yeah, you've got your new enzymes. It's mixing all together. You've got gastric juices, pepsinogens that break down protein. And then the acidity, part of the point of the acidity is to kill microbes that you're eating, because like it's not like your food's sterile. Hopefully it's not too unsterile, but it's definitely not sterile. And then also your bolus turns into chyme, and chyme is like milkier, like you can think about it. That's kind of what chyme's like. So it starts from like a little solid clump of like clay to liquidy. You've got mucus and some bicarbonate to protect the lining. Bicarbonate is like a base. And then you've got acids. And it takes like 2 to 6 hours for all this to happen after a meal to empty out. And then you're hungry again. So there's your stomach mixing. If you've heard your stomach growling, that's from the rugae like mixing and grinding. Then after that, that chyme is going to be secreted into the excreted, I don't know which one, into the small intestine. And it's just going to be a little bit at a time, because here's the problem. The chyme in your stomach is super acidic, and it can't be acidic when it hits your small intestine. So it's got to be neutralized slowly. So your small intestine is able to neutralize it, but it has to be slow, little by little. Your small intestine is super long, skinny but long, and then it has all these little villi and microvilli on the on the inside surface. They're kind of like a little carpet. And so if you were to iron all that out, the surface area would be like as big as a tennis court. If you took those 20 feet of intestines, ironed out all these little villi and microvilli, and so that they were flat, it'd be as big as a tennis court. And the purpose of these, see how they have little blood vessels inside? The purpose is they absorb the nutrients from the chyme and bring them into the blood vessels, into your blood, go straight to your liver. So that's why there's so much surface area. If you didn't have that surface area, you would not be able to absorb the nutrients that you need. There is a disease called like celiac disease. It's associated with gluten. I don't know if it's always with gluten, but that's where these little villi are too short, so you have less surface area. So you can Google that. Then you have these accessory organs. So these are organs that the food does not go through. These are not like part of the main GI tract, but they help add things to the digestive process. So one is the pancreas. That releases some digestive enzymes like insulin, probably heard of. So let's see, it doesn't name them here, but it's going to also up the pH a little bit. Each of these enzymes breaks down different nutrients into nutrients that we can use. And then the liver makes bile, and that breaks down fats. Where's the pancreas? So here's the pancreas right below the stomach, and it's going to shoot stuff right here into right where the small intestine starts. We call that the duodenum. And then the gallbladder is going to squirt bile in there. This bile is what makes your poop brown. If not for bile, your poop would look like vomit color, like kind of brownish, light brownish, I guess. like tan. And so the bile is made in your liver, it's stored in your gallbladder, and then it gets added in the duodenum, and so you can live without a gallbladder because the bile duct can send it straight from the liver. So those are two accessory organs. Is that all of them? Yeah, liver, gallbladder. So, and you can see why they're called accessory because they just help out. And then when you are absorbing nutrients from the small intestine, those nutrients go straight to the liver. But also when you take like pills, like pain pills or something, you've probably heard of this, that goes straight to your liver first. And so that's why it can tear up your liver. So liver processes incoming nutrients from your small intestine, diverts the blood from the small intestine to the liver. So the first place they go is the liver. Also removes alcohol and ammonia, inactivates hormones, takes up bilirubin. Your liver is a busy guy. We need to take care of your liver. It's a very big organ, and it does a lot of important things. And then your gallbladder is right here. So this is showing a gallstone when those sediments kind of accumulate. Okay, so then you hit your small intestine. First part of your small intestine is called the duodenum. It seems like the small intestine is just like a huge mess, but it actually is divided into distinct parts. They each do something different. So duodenum is where the chyme enters. It has to neutralize, and then it gets hormones from or enzymes, same thing, from the bile, like the bile duct and the pancreas, right there in the duodenum. Then the jejunum is next, and that's where nutrients are absorbed and digestion is occurring, and it's long. And then ileum is the last section. Let me see if it's labeled somewhere. Nope, it doesn't look like it. But they're just broken up into 3 sections. In the small intestine, you're doing fat digestion because of the bile and lipases. Bile salts, there they are. Segmentation means that there's like it can hold food in one little piece, one little spot, and do some digestion there. So it can kind of segment off along the whole chain. And then here's some different enzymes and what they digest and where they're released and where they're active in. So this is showing you like carbs break down into monosaccharides and they're absorbed. Proteins break down into amino acids. These are both polymers breaking down into monomers. Fats are not technically polymers, so they break down into smaller fat droplets and then break down into pieces. So that's what's happening in your small intestine. And it's all being absorbed, taken to your bloodstream, then taken to your liver. And then in your large intestine, mostly water is going to be absorbed in your large intestine, and it's getting ready to make poop. So anything that's left over is not like digestible. You couldn't get the nutrients out of it. So it's going to be used to make poop. Bacteria are 1/3 of the dry weight, so lots of bacteria are in there, and anything that's undigested, that's what we call fiber. So here's your large intestine coming around here from the ileum of the small intestine. Your appendix is right here. You've probably heard of that. And then the material travels through the large intestine, through the descending colon, all the way out to the rectum and the anus. And hopefully your sphincter is working down there. There's a lot of nerves and hormones that can regulate digestion, kind of fine tune it, hopefully, or sometimes cause problems. You also have endocrine cells working in there. So that shows how some of those are combining. And then some disorders include heartburn, which I've talked about. Hepatitis can be caused by viruses, and it causes your liver to swell. Hepa means liver, itis means swelling, inflammation. And then cirrhosis is usually caused from alcohol, and that can be inflammation, so your liver isn't working anymore because of alcohol. You can also have constipation, which makes it hard to have a bowel movement. And diverticulitis is when you have inflammation in the small intestine. There's also, you might have seen commercials, or you might have this irritable bowel syndrome. And it can have terrible symptoms where you spend a lot of time in the bathroom, you have either diarrhea or constipation. Some of these are really challenging to treat and live with. Crohn's disease, you have damage to the intestinal lining. That might be what I was thinking about with celiac, but I'm pretty sure it's celiac, so maybe both. And then colorectal cancer is a type of cancer in the colon or rectum, so down in here. And so sometimes they have to have those coleostomy bags. Okay, and then there's little polyps that can form throughout your colon. So when they do a scope, that's what they're looking for to see. This is what it looks like when they're doing a scope. Sometimes you may not be making the right enzymes to break stuff down, like lactose intolerance. You don't have the lactase enzyme. And then celiac disease is associated with a gluten intolerance. It's autoimmune, and that can cause problems with absorption. And then cystic fibrosis is that genetic recessive disease where your lungs are always full of mucus, and it can cause problems with not having enough pancreatic enzymes. And then infections include diarrhea. That can be usually viral. A peptic ulcer is an ulcer in your stomach or small intestine. It can bleed. It's like a sore, like you might have in your mouth. It's kind of like that. And then food poisoning you can also get. And then last slide, homeostasis in the digestive system. We couldn't live without it. It provides nutrients, vitamins, and minerals to all of our cells in our body. It absorbs water and gets rid of waste. So it's a very important body system.